This is my 2012 Timeless Rockstar interview with Don Brewer from Grand Funk Railroad. Yes, he wrote We're an American Band, and actually, he's the singer on the recording. And now, the best of the Marc Berman radio show, Don Brewer.
Don Brewer is a founding member of Grand Funk Railroad. David Frick of Rolling Stone said, "You can't talk about rock in the 70s without talking about Grand Funk Railroad with 13 gold records, 10 platinum, 25 million in sales. That's why Grand Funk to this day packs houses across the country and around the world." The website, grandfunkrailroad.com. We're an American Band is a rock anthem, and the guy who wrote it, sung it, played drums on it, is back on the Marc Berman Show. Please welcome Grand Funk's Don Brewer. Don, welcome back.
Hey, thanks, Mark. It's always good to come back, and, we love the Jersey Shore, and it's looking forward to coming up there.
One thing people probably ask you about, and they talk about this with all different bands, reunions. So here's what I got to ask you. You've been playing drums for some time now, I think since you were 12. Will there be a reunion of the Red Devils or the Jazz Masters?
I really doubt it. I'm not even sure if those guys are alive. No. This is Grand Funk Railroad started in 1969. The original trio: Mark Farner, Mel Shocker, Don Brewer. The powerhouse R&B, soul rock band. That's what we are, coming out of Flint, Michigan.
Reminder, this is my interview from 2012 with Don Brewer of Grand Funk Railroad.
And, we've been very fortunate. This is 45 years for us. We're celebrating 45 years of Grand Funk this year. That's the name of our tour. And, looking forward to coming up there and playing New Jersey.
You've headlined arena concerts globally. You've sold out shows at Madison Square Garden. And you sold out shows at Royal Albert Hall in London. You played in front of 100,000 fans in Hyde Park. And you're always representing because we're an American band. Is there one show that you've played in 45 years that's the most memorable to you?
Well, I would have to say Shea Stadium. When we sold out Shea Stadium faster than the Beatles, and I like to, everybody goes, "Oh, wow," and it's simply because, by the time we came around, they had their ticket selling process down a little bit better than when they were selling tickets for the Beatles, so we sold out faster, so, but anyway, that was a scary show. I mean, here we are in helicopters coming over from Manhattan, flying out over the top of Shea Stadium, a sold-out, stadium with Humble Pie was on stage. That they were our opening act, and we were like shaking in our shoes. Pinch Me, Is This Real? It's a rock and roll fantasy. So that certainly is one of the most memorable. Another one, I got to say, is playing in a baseball stadium in Tokyo in the middle of a typhoon. And all the people stayed. Literally, the rain was flying sideways. The wind was blowing so hard, and the stage was drenched with water. And the people stayed, and we played in that typhoon. It was unbelievable.
They are a legendary. You are. This is amazing. But there's so many things. Maybe people don't know this, but we're located in Atlantic City. We're about 65 miles from Philly, and you worked with a suburban Philly kid on We're an American Band. How'd you hook up with Todd Rundgren?
Todd Rundgren, yeah. I mean, I loved working with Todd, and I gotta say, I'm still friends with Todd to this day, and he's just really one of those guys that knows how to turn the knobs, and he just has a real feel for what things are supposed to sound like when it comes to rock. It was just amazing to work in the studio with the guy, and we really hooked up with him. And somebody introduced us to him. He was living up in Woodstock, and I remember driving up there from New York to go meet Todd Rundgren, and and I'd never met him before, and I'd listened to his records, and we were kind of auditioning different people to be the next producer for Grand Funk for this upcoming American Band album we were working on. And so I drove up to Woodstock, and my first introduction to Todd was, here's this guy with 3 different colors of hair. I think it was pink and blue and yellow, and it was like, okay. But, back then, that was kind of the
sure.
thing, So, but I loved working with Todd, and he really he really, I say when Grand Funk has this R&B thing, Todd also has the R&B. He's got that Philly thing, just like Hall & Oates, So we all have this really true love for R&B music, and we incorporate it into rock. And all of that combination really is what Grand Funk is.
Your producers that you've called on to work are it's such an eclectic group because in '76 you called on Frank Zappa.
Yeah. It was kind of funny how we got there. Again, we were looking for somebody to kind of take us in another direction. In 1975. Disco music was starting to come in, and we were, struggling to go, what direction are we going to go if we're going to stay on the radio, and we finally said, to hell with it, we're just going to do what we want to do. And Craig Frost and I went to a movie. We went to see Frank Zappa's 2000 Motels. And we're sitting there in 2000 Motels, and all of a sudden Frank is taking a slap at Grand Funk Railroad because he's got this little choo-choo train running around as a cartoon thing, and he's making he's taking a slap at like Grand Funk Railroad, and it was like, oh really? Well, let's call Frank and see if he wants to produce our record.
So brilliant.
So we did, and and we were shocked because he said, yeah, I'd love to.
That's but you didn't go too far with it because when you brought in a new lead singer, it was not Volman and Kalin like he did.
No, right. That's right. Yeah.
Boy, that would have been wild.
Yeah.
Now you yourself, it's this Michigan stuff. Did you tour with Bob Seger? Did you play in his band?
Well, I have for off and on since the '80s. I think that my first tour with the Silver Bullet Band was back in 1982. I did another tour in '87 or '88 or something like that. Then again, I started touring with them off and on in the 2000s, 2006 and 7, and 10, 11, and then again last year, 2013. So, yeah, off and on, I've played with the Silver Bullet Band, and we've been able to kind of work out a schedule between the two bands now that kind of suits everybody. So, they usually like to go out in the winter, and usually in the winter that's our slow time. So. That always works out well for me being available to go out and do that.
And it's crazy because it seems that Michigan musicians work in other people's bands because Mel Schachter was in Question Mark and the Mysterious.
Yeah, Mel Schachter, yeah. And he's, the whole Michigan thing is really, everybody kind of knows each other. We all came up together. I remember playing, all the little sock hops and team dances, around Michigan with, and you'd run into Iggy Pop and the MC5 and the Rationals and Bob Seger and the Frost and all these different bands, and everybody knew each other, so. Even Meatloaf, it was Meatloaf before he was Meatloaf.
It's an amazing thing because people look at, I guess, Detroit as Motown, but it's actually Michigan's rock history is legendary. Fans love this band. Grand Funk Railroad is a true American band. You are. It's the song, the cliche, whatever. You are.
Reminder, this is my interview from 2012 with Don Brewer of Grand Funk Railroad.
You guys sold 25 million records, but selling 25 million records the way you did is absolutely phenomenal because people had to get up, walk or drive to their local record store, buy a piece of vinyl, and then maybe a CD. It took an effort for people to go out. So 25 million in sales from people putting themselves out to go get your product is a lot different than us going today on iTunes or something, just clicking. So 25 million is saying a hell of a lot.
It is saying a hell of a lot, and I see those records out there. The people bring them to the shows to be signed. I love it. To me that's when the music business was great. Album artwork was a truly an art form. And it was another way to express the band. I remember so many hours sitting there listening to records by Dave Mason or Traffic or you name it, and reading the album cover, reading the liner notes, reading who was the engineer, what this was, this was, where the studio was, and God, I really miss all that stuff. So
Yeah, so do I miss when a band like Blind Faith would put out 2 covers and you can't wait to get the other cover.
Yeah.
And,
It was very cool. I mean, I think that's missing. I think it really made an attachment for the people, for the consumer and the fan and the band. You really kind of felt like you could put yourself in the studio with these people. And it was pretty cool.
I want to thank you for coming back again, Don. I love having you on the show. You're a great guest, and I love talking about the old days and the stuff we did with Zappa and stuff like that. Today, you have so much damn history, man. It's great for the show, and my listeners, we love this.
All right, cool. Hey, everybody, this is Don Brewer with Grand Funk Railroad, and you're listening to the Marc Berman Show.
The Marc Berman Show is always on. Go to marcbermanpodcast.com. or listen on these great networks: iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and many more.